Checked.
Hey guys, it's Debbie, and if you are new, welcome to my channel, and if you are returning, welcome back again. So today our update will be a little bit more, upbeat than the last one, well, depending which side of the fence that you are on. Well, because it turns out, well, I've heard this before, but we actually now have confirmation that Amber Heard is being investigated for perjury by the Australian government. And just hold up one moment, and I'm going to play that clip for you right now.
There was a question this morning in relation to Amber Heard. I can confirm the department is investigating that matter. So there was evidence presented in the London court case which suggested false statements were provided in the court case in Australia in 2016, so we are investigating that.
So what's the timeline? You expect that investigation decision made about?
As I understand it, the former estate manager of Johnny Depp, Kevin Murphy, said in a witness statement that he told Heard, quote, by email, telephone and in person, that she could not take the dogs to Australia because the relevant paperwork and permits were not complete and the required 10-day quarantine arrangements had not been put in place. Murphy continued, Miss Heard later told the court in Australia that I had told her it was fine to bring the dogs into Australia. That is false. I never told her this.
Yes, so Senator, we understand that to be the case, or the evidence provided in the London court case, and giving a false testimony is an offence under the Crimes Act, so that is what we are now investigating.
So I don't know if you just heard that, but that is really quite heavy. So, I'm Canadian, so I'm going to read out to you what it says here from the Government of Canada website saying export of dogs and cats to Australia. It says, Australia's dog and cat import conditions are amongst the most stringent in the world. All required information for exporting dogs and cats to Australia is available on the Department of Agriculture and Water Resources Australia website. An import permit for bringing cats and dogs to Australia must be obtained prior to entry into the country. Do not use the veterinary export health certificate that is found on the last page of the import permit. Instead, use the following certificates. Close attention must be paid to all aspects of the application process, particular time constraints, fees, and quarantine requirements that are applicable to your particular situation. If any part of the documentation is deemed unsatisfactory by Australian officials, there is a risk of the following: extra disease testing, an extended quarantine stay, declined entry of the animal into the country, or destruction of the animal, all at the expense of the owner. Listed below are 10 simple but critical things that a veterinarian exporter owner can do when preparing for a cat or dog for export to Australia that will help ensure the animal can be imported without having its quarantine period extended or being re-exported or euthanized. And let me just take a break here and speak from my personal experience. Well, not my personal experience, but I have a friend that she did move to Australia from Canada to be with her boyfriend. And she had a dog. And she imported her dog, obviously, to Australia. And she had to quarantine her dog, I think she said, for a month. Australia, they don't kid around. They're serious about this. Like, they don't it's not a joke to them. They're very strict about this. And my friend, she adhered to it. She went through the stringent process. So I kind of have an idea of what it's like. It's very intense. And they take it very seriously. Okay, moving on. It said this list must be read in conjunction with the import permit and the relevant step-by-step guide available on the department's website. It says, number 1, scan and verify the animal's microchip every time it is tested, treated, or examined prior to export. 2, accurately record the animal's microchip number on every document associated with the animal, including any treatment, vaccination, and examination certificates. B, laboratory submission forms which accompany blood samples for testing. 3, only administer compliant external parasite treatments to animals being prepared for export, and record the product name and active ingredient on the health certificate. A list not exhaustive of compliant external parasite treatments can be found on department's website. B, external parasite treatments must be topical, not oral, and kill ticks and fleas on contact. C, Bravecto, Floriner, NexGard, Advantage Multi, and Revolution are not compliant external parasite treatments. 4, re-administer external parasite treatments in accordance with the manufacturer's requirements so that coverage is continuous until export. If the product needs to be reapplied monthly, it must be applied no later than the 31st day from last application. 5, administer internal parasite treatments that are effective against both nematodes, which are roundworms, and cestodes, which are tapeworms. 6, administer any vaccines required by the import conditions strictly in accordance with the manufacturer's requirements, including the primary course and any boosters. Record the vaccination date, product name, and booster due date on the health certificate. 7, fully complete any laboratory submission form, including the animal's microchip number, date of blood sampling, date of signature, and request the correct laboratory test types. 8, verify that the animal's microchip number is correct on any laboratory report received, and that all laboratory reports include the date of blood sampling, laboratory test type, test results, and interpretation of results. And 9, provide the original laboratory reports to the exporter. And 10, ensure that only animals that are fit to travel to Australia and fit to undergo 10 days post-entry quarantine are prepared for export to Australia. And there we have it. So I'm going to be honest with you. I have a law background and, I kind of checked out with a lot of that. But just so you have an idea, they are very strict about the animals that you bring to Australia. And that being said, I have a dog. I'm an animal owner, okay? And knowing this, well, yes, I might very well want my dog to be there. But knowing that I was only going to Australia for a short period of time, and knowing that they threaten to euthanize your dog if you don't go about it the wrong way, I would never jeopardize the life of my dog by not adhering to these rules. While yes, they might be extra, you might not agree with the rules, you might think that it's ridiculous. I don't know, one might argue that. I'll be honest about that. But what I would never do, knowing that these are the rules, and that is the penalty if you don't adhere to the rules, I would never attempt to break those rules at the jeopardy of my dog's life. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie. Sometimes, that a lot of times when you go into law, you learn the rules and you kind of think that, oh, maybe, we can work around it. But no, not when it comes to my dog. Not when it comes to there's a chance that my dog could be euthanized. So I think that I have never even heard anyone talk about that fact, but now reading this, it really makes me feel like, how can you be in good conscience a dog owner and try to bend those rules knowing that you could potentially jeopardize your dog's life? And I do remember that, I think of, what's his name, Barnaby, he did threaten to euthanize those dogs if they weren't removed from Australia. And how can you, knowing that these are the rules, try to work around them and bend them, knowing that if you get busted, your dog could be executed, euthanized, or maybe is the right word. But that, to me, it shows not only does she think that she's above the law, but at the end of the day, it was more about pulling one over on the Australian government, getting the way that she wanted, even if it meant that her dogs could be confiscated and euthanized. Why would you jeopardize the life of your dogs like that? How can you in good conscience do that? I couldn't. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they have a reason to have things so strict. I don't know. But I do think maybe, yeah, it's a little bit extra. It's a little bit over the top. But there's some things where, you can kind of bend the rules. But knowing that there's a threat that they could euthanize my dog, yeah, maybe I want my dog with me, but not to the point where I would jeopardize them being quarantined and euthanized. No. Especially if you're just going there for a short time. Yes, there's a 30-day quarantine. I believe it's 30 days. A 30-day quarantine period, right? So what is the point? What is the point? Right? You're going there for a short period of time. What is the point? And yeah, you might think, oh, this is stupid. But if you don't play by the rules, your dog could get literally murdered and euthanized. So that, to me, no one has talked about that. The fact that she wouldn't adhere to the rules speaks to me that the fact that she really didn't care. It's more about, I can get what I want. Like, I just know myself, and I think every other dog owner that I know would not take those chances. Those are not chances that we would take. I would not play around or jeopardize my dog like that, right? You're there for a short period of time. If it's really that big of a deal, go home. It wasn't her movie. No one has really talked about that, and I just wanted to point that out, that you must have to be some kind of like messed up individual to even play that gamble, because to me, that's not a gamble that I would ever take. I would never gamble with the life of my dog, because you know what? If this had happened to you or me or Joe Blow or whatever, if they had tried to, do this, that very well could have happened. Your dog could have gotten euthanized. And that is the rules, That is the rules. And that just not only shows you're above the rules, but you're not actually thinking about the consequences of your actions. Your actions could have led to your dog getting euthanized. And for what? So no one has really address that. So I just really wanted to point that out, that I'm disgusted by reading this, that someone really would jeopardize the life of their dogs like that. That being said, I'm just kind of looking on the Australian government for I think it's called the Wildlife Trade Law and their penalties. So just so everyone is on the same page, that means that this would constitute a federal offense, right? So I'm looking here at the penalties. It says offense: importing or exporting a regulated specimen without authorization, which is permit or exemption. It says maximum penalty in order of severity: imprisonment for 10 years or 1,000 penalty units, which is $222 or both. So not only could your dog get euthanized, you could be imprisoned for up to 10 years. This is no joke, right? So that was one thing. So what I really want to impress upon you is that, yeah, Amber Heard got off with a $1,000 fine and with the video that she had to make, but that's because she was a celebrity and she made the video. They're probably thinking like, oh, maybe it'll help educate so people will know it's taken seriously. She got off with a slap on the foot because she was famous. If you or I or your average layperson was to do something like this, you could face an imprisonment for up to 10 years for a federal offense and up to a $200,222 fine. Amber got a $1,000 fine, which is nothing compared to what she could have got. She got a slap on the wrist. So, because this is a federal offense, if Amber lied, as the video said, she is being officially investigated for perjury. Let's talk about what the penalty for that could be. It says perjury. Perjury is a serious offense and carries a maximum penalty of 15 years imprisonment. Perjury is taken seriously because it has the potential to undermine the administration of justice by misleading decision makers such as magistrates and juries. And I'm not going to lie, that 100% is what, I'm just saying, allegedly, if it is true and Amber did lie about all these things as alleged in the UK trial, and that is true, and they try her and they find out that, yeah, she did commit perjury, that is what she did. She undermined. And the thing is, They gave her a slap on the wrist because she is famous, because, you know, she made that video with Johnny Depp. They're thinking like, oh, this will make the public take it seriously. And from what I know from Australia, they're no joke. They take things very seriously. So if the Australian government determines that, you know, she did commit perjury, she can face up to 15 years imprisonment. Or who knows, maybe that won't happen, but maybe they want to make an example out of her. Maybe that's the case. But all I know is that this, to me, like I said, is very disturbing, not just for the fact that you think that you're above the law, but that you would put the livelihood of your dogs at risk. I don't know, I'm very disturbed. So we'll see what happens, but all I know is that Australia does not kid around. Like, this is not a joke. Even though to us in, you know, North America or honestly anywhere in the world that isn't a part of their quarantine process, this might seem way over the top, whatever the case may be. I mean, I kind of think maybe it's a little bit extra, but I don't know them. I don't know their life. I'm sure those laws are in place for a reason, but at the end of the day, the law is the law, you know? And they take it very seriously. And that's what you need to know. As someone, like, there's certain times where maybe you can bend the rules, but this is not a joke to them. So I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I don't know. She is being investigated for perjury, so we'll see what they decide. But I'm just putting that out there. And the fact that she would jeopardize the lives of her dogs, like, I'm not okay with that. That's disturbing to me. I'm going to link down below all the websites that I found. And from what I understand, I haven't found any confirmation for sure, but from what I believe, that Aquaman 1 was filmed in Australia. The rumor is that Aquaman 2 might be filmed in Australia. But if that is the case, how would she be able to film in Australia? Because I don't know. I mean, I could see them more so making an example out of her and not necessarily, like, assuming that they say that she is guilty of perjury. Who knows? But if they do find her guilty on some extent, I don't see them, like, saying that you're guilty to that, like, jail. But I could see them trying to make an example out of her. Like, well, who better? She's a public figure. Than by maybe banning her from the country or something, you know. They need to make a statement. If they do find her guilty of perjury, they would need to make some type of statement. So if that does end up happening, I can't see how she would be able to film Aquaman 2 in Australia. That, I mean, notwithstanding the fact that she made, you know, filming a Fantastic Beasts 3 a living nightmare for Warner Brothers. So who knows if they would even want her to be there. But I'm just saying, if it does go ahead in Australia, I think it would be difficult for her to even be able to enter the country. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I just wanted to share that update. So, you know, even though Amber might have had, you know, what's that saying? Like, you might have won the battle, but you haven't won the war. You know what I mean? So even though Amber had like a win, some might say a big win, but at the end of the day, the truth, if that is the truth, and she did commit perjury, and them like investigating her, like, that might be the bigger loss, right? Because it's not going to be a good look. And let's say worst case scenario and she's found guilty and they do want to imprison her and they make that public, that's definitely going to have a negative impact on her career as an actor. Like, there's a warrant out for your arrest in Australia. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens, but I just wanted to put that out there and just discuss the fact of what she did to her dogs and how I don't agree with that. But yeah, comment down below, what do you think? Do you think that she'll be found guilty of perjury in the Australian court? They're very serious. They don't joke around about this. I had a friend that went through it. It was a nightmare. It really, really was for her. So, but at least she went about it the right way, because I don't know. that's just the only way to do it in that case, because while you might not agree with it, that's the law, and the penalty is up to 15 years, or like, it's just, I don't know, it just screams to me someone that just doesn't care about anyone but themselves, to be quite honest with you. Assuming that she did lie, but so far that's what it's looking like. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate every single one of you, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Comment down below. And yeah, I hope to talk to you guys soon, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.